afternoon, everyone. I'm the Lone Ranger, and welcome back to the Lone Ranger podcast. We got a great show for you today. Today, we're going to be wrapping up our series on trust the process, how to close a deal. Definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in. And if you haven't tuned in, go back and take a look at the series and see if it's going to help you out. But want to give a shout out to everybody that is supporting me on all of my social media platforms. TikTok and Instagram are still doing pretty well, and YouTube as well. But if you aren't following me, you need to follow me on YouTube at the Lone Ranger Podcast. Just look for the symbol, and also on TikTok and Instagram at the Lone Ranger '08. But let's go ahead and get started. Basically, just to give you guys a recap, we started off from the beginning of the process, which is the foundation, where we're introducing ourselves to the prospect, asking some pretty generic questions, just to see exactly what they're looking to accomplish. And then from there, we moved on to the qualification stage, where we basically could see if they can afford the product that we're selling or afford the product or service that we're offering. And then from there, once we determined the qualification, we pretty much did some fact finding. We peeled back some layers, finding out what the problems were and trying to connect that to the service or product that we're offering. And then from there, after we identified everything, we set up the presentation and did the actual presentation itself, where we matched the solutions to the problem, emphasize all the benefit and value that's going to come with it, and things of that sort. And once that was done, we, got the documents or had them sign any pertinent documents to move forward. We talked about how we can get them to do that. And then now that they're in processing, they're on the final lap. And that's where we are today. The final lap. And that's basically consisting of follow ups, handling objections, and then eventually closing the deal. Now, the purpose of the follow up, okay, after post presentation, I like to call it. The purpose of the follow up is to keep the lines of communication open. Okay. You want a lot of communication throughout this process because a lot of your deals, especially in the lending business, are going to be telephonic. All of my borrowers, I've never really seen face to face. So, constant communication helps eliminate that out of sight, out of mind type of effect. Okay, because if your prospect or borrower doesn't see you every day, or if they don't hear from you every day, it's going to be very, very easy for you to lose that deal. So it's very pertinent that you maintain consistent follow-ups so you don't lose that deal post presentation. Now, three reasons why you want to follow up. The first reason is, again, to maintain constant communication. Okay, people are going to be talking to your prospects throughout the entire ordeal, whether it be friends, family, counterparts at work, or anything, commercials. They're always going to have constant communication from outside entities. You want to make sure you're one of them to stay on their mind. So constant communication is key. One of the reasons you want to follow up. The second one is customer service. I mean, it shows that you value their business. If someone were to sell you something and they told you it was going to take 30 days for them to do it, and after the presentation you never heard from them again, that really doesn't show good customer service, because now the borrower is wondering, well, are we going to close? Did something happen? Sometimes silence is not a good thing. So it's a good show of customer service to show constant communication with the borrower until the deal is done. And then lastly, it keeps them focused on the product, and also keeps them focused on the benefits that going to come with the product all the way to closing. Okay. Because sometimes after you go over a presentation, they acknowledge everything, they're on board. But if you don't, communicate with them for like a week or two, then they may lose focus. They may, end up saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. If they haven't heard from you and they're not being enticed anymore to move forward. So those are the three biggest reasons why you want to follow up post presentation so you can keep them on track. Now, one note here is follow-ups are great when the borrower needs to submit paperwork in a timely manner, and a follow-up creates a sense of urgency. Okay. I can't tell you how many times after a presentation I need to get some type of documentation from the borrower. And, either my processor or underwriter was supposed to do it, and they didn't do it because they just slipped through the cracks or something like that. And then the file just sits dormant there for weeks when you can literally follow up yourself and get whatever documents you may need. Like, you may need updated pay stubs, or if they're on fixed income, you may need a current award letter from their pension or from Social Security or anything like that, or maybe a homeowner's insurance declaration page. Whatever the case is, whatever that document is, if it's pertinent to get you to the next step, follow ups are going to be very, very crucial if you want to proceed in an efficient manner. So, one thing you want to also note here when it comes to follow ups is, again, like we said in the setup, the presentation episode, is you want the borrower to save your phone number so they know it's you when you're calling. Because, like I said, you may need some additional information post presentation. And if they don't have your number saved, they're not going to answer, when you call. They might think it's just another, you know, uh, creditor calling them or something like that. So, very, very important that they save your number. Now, how much is too much follow-up? Sometimes if you're, calling them too much, you might push them away. So, how much is too much? So, I typically like to have a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday type of approach. I call them on Monday just to follow up, give them some updates if anything has changed. Uh, Wednesday just to, keep them abreast of what's going on, even if nothing's happening, just call them and say, hey, just checking in, letting you know so far so good. There's nothing we need on our end. Just wanted to just let you know that, we're still moving on pace, something like that. And then on Friday, it's always good to follow up with them on Friday before the weekend. And I got this from one of my mentors, Ben Taylor, who worked at New Day USA, and also Franco Greco, who also worked at New Day USA. And they told me when I first started out to always call them on Fridays because anything can happen over the weekend. And if you don't call them at the end of the week going into the weekend, they may think the worst and assume the worst. You see what I'm saying? And anyone who's in sales knows that Saturdays is also a work day. So if you don't call them on Friday, someone else is on Saturday. So very, very important. Try to call them at least 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is normally the best way to approach it. And again, that's going to be the best way to maintain communication. Now, another thing that's going to happen when you are trying to close a deal post presentation is dealing with additional objections. Okay. Now, they may have been on board, during the presentation or throughout the process, but at some point in time, there may be some objections, okay? So understand that every deal is not going to be a slam dunk, okay? Sometimes you're going to require more work. Sometimes you're going to have to remind the borrower of, what they're going to be getting or what benefits they're going to have, and continuously and constantly reminding them of why they want to do this deal, okay? Because you're going to have some objections throughout the process, no matter what. Now, 3 reasons why the borrower is going to have objections post-presentation. One of them is they might get cold feet. It's a big, big decision. Like I'm in lending, I'm dealing with someone's mortgage in their home. It's a big decision. So they may get cold feet because they may be scared they're going to get, taken advantage of or make the wrong decision. So it's very important that you understand that if they're hesitant to do something, you wanna bring out your closer and salesman workshop and find out why. It's a constant evaluation, if you will. Another reason why it might be a lengthy process. I mean, it takes 45 to 60 days to close a loan at my business. Sometimes it closes a lot sooner, but on average, it's 45 to 60 days. That's 1.5, 2 months. So a lot of people might not have that time to wait or want to wait that long. So that could be one of the reasons why they might not want to move forward with the loan. Another one is uh, someone or something has gotten in their ear. Like maybe they got a better offer, or maybe one of their friends has a better interest rate on their loan and they said, don't do it because I was able to get this or something like that. You're always going to have competition and you're always going to have opposition, in sales. Okay. Whether it's a competitor offering a better rate or whether it's a friend or family member throwing a monkey wrench in their plan, not knowing what their finances are. That's the biggest thing that I hate. But also, um, there's something that they may not still be comprehending with the deal, or something still isn't settling right with them with the deal. Like in my business, closing costs. If you have a high loan amount, then you're going to have high closing costs, and sometimes that may present a hurdle that you have to jump over. And despite how much money you're saving them, or despite what account you may be paying off that's causing them to not sleep well at night, they still think about the bottom line, which is the cost. So that could be an objection. So you have to constantly remind them of the benefits and the value that's coming with the loan and why you want to do this loan. So those are three big reasons. There's other reasons for objections, but those are the three ones that I've mostly experienced. But one thing you want to note here, when you're handling objections, you want to make sure that you continue to acknowledge their concern, because that shows that you are, you know, listening to them and you're being a salesman and you're trying to solve the problem. But you want to continue to remind them why they're doing the loan, what benefits are going to come with the loan, what things they don't have to worry about anymore when the loan is done, or whatever product that you're or service that you're selling. What is that alleviate? What problem is it solving? And continue to emphasize that until you get them to the closing table. And one thing that can kinda help reel them in, especially if it's a lengthy process, is to give them time frames. Let them know, "Hey, look, it's only gonna be another week before we're done," or, "You send this document over, we'll be wrapped up in the next couple of days." And what that does is it gives them something to focus on. They won't say, "Oh, this is gonna take forever. It's gonna take another 2 months." They'll just say, "Oh, okay, well, I can get that document right now, and if I do, we'll close in 2 days." So, very important to give them time frames as well, so that way they can stay focused and you can keep them on track. And then lastly, once you've overcome any objections, you're doing your follow-ups, you're getting all the documents in, we're finally done, right? We're on that last lap, we've approached the finish line, and I call it get her done, right? We have finally reached the closing table. We have cleared the close, we are good to go, but the job's not done yet, okay? After you clear the close or once you've settled on the deal, there's a couple of things that you need to make sure that you remind the prospect so everything goes smoothly. One of them is you want to make sure that you reiterate all the benefits, right? And while you're reiterating the benefits, you want to make sure that you're going over the final numbers so that there's no confusion. So when they go to sign, they know exactly what they're getting, okay? And obviously handle any objections that may come about. Hopefully that's not the case. But after you review the final numbers and go over all the benefits and all that good stuff, you let them know what they need to bring to closing. So in my case, they just need to bring an ID and a pen, right? If they're doing a purchase or something like that, they may need to bring, a cashier's check for closing or something like that. But I'm in refi, so all you really need is a pen and your ID, and a routing number where you want the cash, if any. Now, once all that's said and done, the last thing is just to let them know what's gonna happen post-closing, okay? In my business, again, after closing, there's a 3-day rescission period before the loan funds, which means if they close on Monday, they're not gonna get their money till Thursday or Friday. So if they close on Monday and they check their account on Tuesday and they say, "Oh, where's my money?" And you say, "Oh, you're not gonna get it till Thursday or Friday," they may say, "Oh, you know what? Never mind, I don't wanna do it." So these borrowers or prospects will look for any opportunity to get out of the deal. So you want to make sure that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's with that. So letting them know what's going to happen post closing will allow them to stay focused and then allow the loan to fully close and fund and do whatever it is to do for you to get the credit for it. And then that's how you keep them focused on everything. But after that, the very, very last thing that I like to recommend is ask for referrals. You never know who else might need some help, and they may know somebody that doesn't know about your business or about your product or about your service. So they may be able to generate some more leads for you. I've closed a lot of loans off of referrals. So always make sure you ask for referrals. And if you did a good job, don't be surprised if you get a phone call saying, "Hey, so and so told me about what you did for them. I wanna know if you can help me out." And next thing you know, you got another deal and the process begins again. But that's all we have. We are a wrap on Trust the Process, the art of closing a deal. I hope you enjoyed this series. I'll be doing several series on sales tips, customer service, handling objections, in the future, along with mortgage updates and testimonials from dealing with borrowers and things like that. So I'm really excited about where the show is going, and I hope this was helpful. And I hope everybody enjoyed this series. And I look forward to talking to you next time. This is the Lone Ranger signing out. And give it up. We are a wrap.